So the HHH whistleblower, Dr. Rick Bright, testified before a House committee yesterday about how he says his warnings were ignored and the chilling exchange he had with colleagues about how unprepared the country is and was for a pandemic. Take a look.
I'll never forget the emails I received from Mike Bowen and indicating that our mask supply or N95 respirator supply was completely decimated. And he said, we're in deep, the world is, and we need to act. And I pushed that forward to the highest levels I could in HHS and got no response. From that moment, I knew that we were going to have a crisis for our healthcare workers because we were not taking action. We were already behind the ball. That was our last window of opportunity to turn on that production to save the lives of those healthcare workers, and we didn't act.
So, of course, you know who made a preemptive strike on Twitter, claiming he doesn't know Dr. Bright and calling him a disgruntled employee. Does he come off as a disgruntled employee to you, Joy, or is he a whistleblower?
Well, you know, did you ever see the movie The China Syndrome? It reminded me of that movie where Jack Lemmon is screaming that there's going to be a nuclear meltdown and no one's listening to him and they're going ahead with whatever nuclear thing they're doing. And he says that, you know, if this goes through, California is going to be uninhabitable. And people are saying, oh, it's nonsense and get rid of him and he's crazy and et cetera. It reminded me of that. And so Dr. Bright tries to warn them about the truth, like many others who try to tell the Americans the truth, and they're punished for it. They're branded as crazy and disgruntled. The question I have is how many healthcare workers have died because of these policies? It's basically this kind of like negligence that causes people to die. So here are the three possibilities. Was it incompetence at the top? Was it that they just don't care? I mean, I understand that Fox just showed 5 minutes of Dr. Bright's testimony and they went on to talk about baseball. Maybe they just don't care. Or was it orders from the White House, from the top of this country, Donald Trump, who says, don't talk about it because I want to minimize the damage because it's going to make me look bad. That's really the question that people have to be asking themselves right now.
Right. He also poured cold water on the 12 to 18-month timeline for a vaccine, saying it could take up to 10 years. But you say we need to hear this wake-up call, Sonny?
We really do. I think we just need to listen to our scientists. We need to listen to the facts here and not the misinformation that has been coming from the White House. And I've been saying, and you know this, Whoopi, for weeks and weeks and weeks, that the president and this administration lost 70 days. Those days equated to lives lost. And that's what we heard from Dr. Bright. I think we heard the cold, hard facts. We heard that a vaccination is really probably not going to come, a vaccination that we can trust in 12 to 18 months. That's a very aggressive timeline. And that when he warned about the lack of PPE, when he warned about the potential effects of this virus, he was told that he was causing a commotion and he was removed from the meeting. So this administration doesn't want Americans to know that what could happen in the fall is, I think, what Dr. Bright called a very, very dark winter. One of the darkest times in our country's history. But we need to listen to Dr. Bright, even though the administration doesn't want us to.
Right. And what he's talking about is the meeting of COVID-19 with the flu, whichever version of the flu we end up with this winter. I also want to point out that Michael Burgess, the subcommittee's ranking Republican, said every whistleblower deserves to be heard. Dr. Bright has raised serious allegations, and they deserve an investigation. So, and then I just also want to say that this new press secretary says it sounds like Mr. Bright hasn't been paying attention at all. Girl, you just got here. Shh. Okay? Shh.
Who's that, Kaylee?
I mean,
who's that,
you know.
Kaylee McEnany?
Yeah. Just, you know, just hold off, Kaylee. Just, you know, you're not, none of these people who are talking such nonsense are doctors or have any in-depth knowledge of how this works. So keep in mind, You know, they try to say that Fauci is fallible. He may be fallible, he's human, but he's the only one that we've had, really, who you know is a straight shooter and not a political animal. And it's also, since we're talking about the things that are scaring people. Go ahead, Joy.
I was just going to add that you can rest assured that in the next week or so, we'll be hearing that Fauci is a disgruntled employee, that he's also crazy, that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and that will be Trump's way of getting rid of Fauci. So Americans really need to pay attention, really pay attention.